really has been an eventful offseason for the Nets thus far. You can take a look at it, but the thing that I want to circle is at the top there. Kyrie Irving opting into that $36.5 million player option, and then obviously Kevin Durant requesting that trade just before the start of free agency on Thursday, acquiring Royce O'Neal, and then agreeing to terms with Patty Mills, Nick Claxton, TJ Warren, Kessler Edwards, and Edmund Sumner. So here now, I want to bring in our Brian Windhorst and Kendrick Perkins. Based on all of what we just heard from Woj, I want to circle back to one thing. This domino of Kevin Durant waiting for that to fall and impact not only Kyrie Irving, but also, Brian, impact players like DeAndre Ayton. What are you hearing from around the league? What stood out to you from the reporting we just heard?
Yeah, well, from what I understand, I don't think the Nets are thrilled with the offers that they've gotten for Durant yet. I don't think that's a hot take, considering that they're, reassessing with where they're at. And I think the reason is this. It's somewhat known in the NBA that Durant prefers going to the Phoenix Suns. And the Suns offer, and what they have to offer right now, just isn't that interesting to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is interested in other things. That's why Woj and others talk about potentially needing a third or fourth team in a deal. And so if you're a team like the Raptors, or, for example, who we've heard about have interest and has had some discussions with Brooklyn, the bar that you have to clear isn't the Nets' expectation. It's what the expectation or what the offer is from the Suns. And so I don't think that the premium offers that I think a lot of us in the media sometimes jump to when we talk about, oh, well, Team A can offer the Nets this, and we list like 4 or 5 beautiful players and asset stuff and swaps and picks and everything. They don't often come out of the gate like that. And that's why if you study history here about superstar trades over the last 10 to 15 years, and we now have a lot of them, especially those trades that happen in the summer, there's 2 things that we often see. One, they tend to take time. They don't happen sometimes in the first week of July, especially when the trade demand comes late. And secondly, they often aren't for the haul that we always assume in the start. And especially as this pertains to the Raptors, Malika, I will refer you to the Kawhi Leonard trade back in 2018. The Raptors and Masai Ujiri, their team president, basically outlasted the market on that. Their offer, while it did have DeMar DeRozan in it, an excellent player, their offer that the Spurs ultimately took was lower than we thought was going to come for Kawhi Leonard. And so it wouldn't surprise me if Masai sticks to that same formula and tries to wait the Nets out. And that's what we're in right now, the waiting game.
Well, you mentioned time, and that's something that's so interesting that Woj reported. Kendrick, you were in these locker rooms. When it comes to waiting, Woj said that, the longer this takes, the more sort of options that Kevin Durant is going to need to weigh, including looking at a team and saying, once all of these players and picks are gone, is this somewhere I want to land, play, and think I can win? How does time, in your eyes, as a player, weigh into all of this?
Oh, it weighs heavy. And we're talking about Kevin Durant, right? And we're talking about the effect that it has on everybody else in the locker room. Like, you're going to start getting to the point where teams are going to start hosting their private workouts. Players are going to get together and start meeting up in certain locations and having their bonding time and things to that nature. You want to get ahead of the curve. Here's the thing that I have to ask, right? We're still talking about Kevin Durant. And what is showing me right now is that the league and a lot of GMs are valuing these young up-and-coming superstars or stars that they have. When you look at a situation like the Toronto Raptors, right, I think Masai Ujiri is hesitant to include Scottie Barnes in the deal. Again, we're talking about Kevin Durant, right? So I'm looking at the league, and I'm looking at like how GMs are starting to value these young superstars, and it's very interesting to me. And it's also a wake-up call to a lot of people around the league, especially the older vets. Again, Malika, Wendy, we are talking about Kevin Durant is on the market. KD, arguably the best scorer to ever play the game of basketball, the best scorer in my eyes that's still playing right now to this day. And teams are reluctant to give up young superstars. Like, think about that for a second. Not saying that they're not, but the fact that Masai Ujiri is saying, hold on, Scottie Barnes is not included in this trade package, that speaks volumes.